Welcome back, students of class 12 studying NCERT book Flamingo. Today I'm back with another part of the chapter Indigo that is in your course book Flamingo. Now, without wasting any time, let's proceed with the chapter right now. Okay, now let's find out what was the result of the inquiry that was set for the grievances of the sharecroppers of the village Champaran and the surrounding areas. So let's see, we were at this point. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in principle to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. So when the inquiry was set, they were found guilty that they were duping the farmers, they were exploiting the farmers, and they also agreed in principle that they agreed to it, that they have done that thing. They accepted, they said that they were guilty of exploiting the poor peasants, and they agreed to pay the peasants back. They just asked Gandhi how much they should pay. They thought he would demand repayment of full of the money which they had illegally or deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. They were very surprised, that they were thinking that now it's the time, they are in the hands of the law, and Gandhi would surely like to take back all the money that they have deceitfully taken from the sharecroppers. But they were very surprised that Gandhi asked only for 50%. There he seemed adamant, writes Reverend J. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at a close range. Now, what do you mean by at a close range? Find the meaning flashing in the video. Let's proceed further. And here, according to J.Z. Hodge, who was a British missionary in Champaran, he said that it seemed Gandhi was adamant there, and he would not be going down that. Okay, and then the sharecropper, then the landlords, thinking that probably he would not give way, the representatives of planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%, and he was very surprised that Gandhi agreed to that 25% also. Now this word amazement shows the surprise, okay, and the meaning took him at his word, that means agreed. Okay, he agreed whatever, and breaking this deadlock, thus breaking the deadlock. Deadlock means thus he stopped all that bargaining, and he said that okay, this is the limit and I won't be reducing after this. Okay. See whether this settlement was been accepted by both the parties, the peasants and the landlords. What happens, let's see in this next paragraph. This settlement was adopted unanimously. Unanimously means that by everybody. It was accepted by everybody without any protest. Okay. Gandhi explained that the amount of refund was less important than the fact that landlords had been obliged to surrender part of their money, and with it part of their prestige. Now this line is quite important. According to Gandhi, money was less important as compared to the prestige, the thinking of the landlord, their ego, that they can do anything with the peasants. Now they have come to know that they cannot exploit the peasants further, and this was more important. Telling them that the peasants also have a say was more important than the refund of the money. That is why he agreed to that 25%, and by giving 25%, these landlords were parting with some of their prestige also, some of their ego also. So this is what Gandhi said was more important than the money. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lords above the law. So Gandhi said, as far as it is concerned, the peasants are concerned, they have won the case, and thus this way they have shown that it is shown that they also have a say in the court also. That is, someone is there for them to fight for their right. Now peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned the courage. So according to Gandhi, now peasants have come to know how to defend them, and they have how to exercise their rights, and most important thing was that they have learned courage. Now they've at least come out to say that we are being exploited. That was the most important thing according to Gandhi. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates, which reverted to peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared. So this, what was the result of the settlement was that Britishers, thus they left there, abandoned their states, that they left their states, and whosoever was cultivating on that particular estate or the field had taken, that had taken the charge of that particular land, and in this way the indigo sharecropping disappeared completely. It was completely finished. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. Now see, the case is over. For what Gandhi had come, that is being done. But Gandhi is not like nowadays politicians just making false promises and all those things. But Gandhi stayed there, because for the time he was staying there in Champaran and the nearby villages, he had noticed many things that needed improvement. So he wanted to get an improvement in all these things. So now here we are going to study what Gandhi did after solving the case of the sharecroppers, and what were the steps taken by Gandhi to for the improvement of the villagers, their style of living, and many other things. Let's read right now here in this paragraph. He saw cultural and social backwardness in Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. So the steps taken by Gandhi for that, he appealed for teachers. So first thing that he wanted to improve on was the education of the children and the people of the Champaran area. So he appealed for teachers. He had many links, and he wanted some volunteers who will come and teach people here in Champaran village. So Madhav Desai and Nirhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples. So disciples means followers. So they have just started following Gandhi, and they agreed to come to Champaran and impart education to the residents of Champaran. And their wives volunteered for the work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant parts of the land. Devadas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. So many of the people, volunteers from different places in India, had arrived in Champaran, in which Gandhi's own son and his wife was also there. They came to help Gandhi in the social improvement of this Champaran area. So let's see what they did, what all these people who have come from far away places to Champaran, what they did for the Champaran villages. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Okay, so Kasturbai, who is Gandhi's wife, told them about the cleanliness and how to keep themselves clean and how to have community sanitation. These things were being told to them by Kasturbai. So she took this charge of cleanliness and sanitation awareness to the people of Champaran. Health conditions. Now the first thing was their education, and second thing that Gandhi worked on was the health conditions. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor volunteer his service for 6 months. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine and sulphur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. So there were certain common problems of fever, some allergy on the skin, etc. So and these with only the 3 medicines that doctor kept on treating the patients, and this way Gandhi tried to improve on the health condition of the people of Champaran. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes. He asked Kasturbai to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturbai into her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." So on asking why these women are in such a bad state of clothes, why their clothes are in a very filthy state, they are not properly washed even. So one of the women, she took Kasturbai to her quarter, to her hut, and she just showed her the condition of the hut. She said that there wasn't any cupboard in the hut. Why they never needed a cupboard, because whatever sari she had the only one that sari she was wearing, and how could they change it? They do not get any spare clothes, second pair of clothes that they can change. So that is why they keep on wearing that particular one sari they have for a longer time. During his stay at Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in the old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad. So it was not that Gandhi was living in Champaran and he would be taking care of Champaran only. He was worried about the ashram also, and he kept on managing both the things, the Champaran villages and the ashram, side by side through telegrams and by keeping a long distance watch on the ashram, and he keep on sending them instructions, even if what to do and when to do all the certain things that are of utmost importance. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained. So according to Louis Fisher, that this Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. It changed Gandhi's thinking completely. And he is quoting here the dialogue that was said to him by Gandhi while one of his conversations with Gandhi. What I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. I declared the British could not order me about my own country. Gandhi said that I did a very simple thing. I told the Britishers that you cannot make me do certain things in your own way, where in his own country. So he said that he just disobeyed and said that he is to follow his heart, and he would be surely following his heart rather than obeying the orders of Britishers. But Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. His politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problems of millions. So he said that it was not an act of defiance. It was not only disobeying the government. His politics are always intertwined. It was mingled with the practicability. His politics had lot of practical aspects, and it also dealt with the day-to-day problems of millions of people. His was not a loyalty to abstractions, but it was a loyalty to living human beings. So Louis Fisher is of the view that Gandhi was not loyal to abstractions. Abstractions mean the things, the things that can't be seen. Abstract is the thing that can't be seen, that can't be felt. But he is not after the things. He is not after the votes and after the getting many followers behind him. But his loyalty was to the living human beings. He was loyal to the human beings. This is what he did. He could have gone back when he got a notice to leave Motihari, but he stayed there because he was loyal to Rajkumar Shukla. He had this thing in his mind that he had promised him that he'll be doing something for him, and he cannot leave the place as it is. So this is what his loyalty was. He tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So whatever Gandhi did was an attempt to bring the Indians out of fear and help them to become self-confident and self-dependent, so that they can stand at their own feet, and then they can work on the greater target, that is making India free. Okay, so Louis Fisher here said, early in Champaran action, Charles Freer Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. The Gandhi's lawyer friends thought it would be good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help. Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed. So it happened at the time when the fight for the peasants were going on. One of the English men who started following Gandhi, Charles Freer Andrews, came to Champaran to say goodbye to Gandhi as he was going to join his duty to the Fiji Islands, at Fiji Islands. But and lawyers Rajendra Prasad and others were of the view that he should be kept in Champaran and he would become a helpful person in solving the case of the peasants. But Gandhi was of a different opinion. Let's see what his opinion was. Gandhi was vehemently means completely, aggressively opposed. He said, you think that in this unequal fight it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side? This shows the weakness of our heart. So Gandhi said that if you want a person of the other party in your party, that means it is showing that you are weak at heart and you are not able to fight for yourself all by yourself. So you need not to have anybody else from the opposite party, especially they were fighting against the Englishman. So he never wanted to have an Englishman in his fight for the right. The cause is just and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. Now these are beautiful wordings. The cause is just and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. He said if the cause is just, that means fair. If the cause is good, then we should be self-reliant to win our battle. We should not depend on anybody else to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman. So Gandhi said that he is not thing of using that, because just because he is an Englishman, we can fight at our own, and we need not to have any Englishmen by our side. So this is the last few lines of the chapter. He had read our minds correctly, Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Now Rajendra Prasad, according to Rajendra Prasad, he said that Gandhi had just read their heart, what was there in their heart. Gandhi had completely come to know that, and this is what he gave in his reply. And Rajendra Prasad said that we also learnt a lesson in self-reliance from Gandhi. Self-reliance, Indian independence, and help to sharecroppers were all bound together. So this is the last line of the chapter Indigo, which is giving us the gist of the typical Gandhi patron and how he was able to win in this fight of inequality in the Indigo sharecroppers case. Self-reliance, Indian independence, and help to sharecroppers are all bound together. He said during this teaching the lesson of self-reliance to the villagers of Champaran, he came to know that how this thing can be taken to a broader sense and to the national level, and how the civil disobedience can bring freedom to India. So this is what he started telling Louis Fisher about when and why and how he thought of asking Britishers to leave India, to ask them to quit India. So this is all about in this chapter. I hope you most of the points in the chapter are quite clear to you. If there is something still left, write in the comment box. I will surely make a video in question answer form or notes form for you. And stay connected with me at English Frog Club, and keep watching me regularly. Wait for the latest updates and do ring the bell icon. Share the video with your friends. Bye for now, students.